Happy Monday. Welcome to the sneak preview. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Caleb Leger.
And today we're discussing what's being called the worst Marvel movie in decades, Sony's Morbius. We're bailing on the bubble because we already sat through one bad movie this week. We didn't want to waste our time any further. They're not always going to be winners here. And Morbius, I think we kind of expected this to suck. I'm sure you had a lot more bad things to say about it than I did, but even I was like, this isn't great.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because I think really even then I only disagree with you on like maybe two things that I thought weren't as like good as you liked them.
Yeah.
Besides that, we were pretty much on point. Because at first, when you told me your show, I'm like, that seems a little high for this film, dude. And then I read your review, I was like, your show still seems a little high. Seems like you're being generous, but I mean, you definitely don't like it. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I'm often generous, but maybe over the course of this discussion, I might see the light. We'll see.
Maybe.
In addition to Morbius, we'll say a little bit about The Lost City and The Spine of Night from last week, which we didn't talk about due to the Oscars. But first, let's see what happened last week in film. Last week in film. Three trailers to discuss. First up, the final trailer for Top Gun Maverick comes out May 27th. And I still don't care.
Yeah. Did you like my the text I was sending in the group chat when I watched it?
Oh, this movie is a hot button issue for you.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm not looking forward to it. And it's actually like, yes, a part of like what I've heard about how he treated Tom Cruise treated people on the Reagan. I believe was one they filmed on.
Yeah.
How you treat enlisted folks there during a pandemic that were being told you have to deploy and good luck seeing your fucking families. I have my issues, with that. But my main thing is like I don't know, like I think like pretty much like the rest of Filmgazm team here, I just find the first film so incredibly overrated. Like it's the one I think it's one of the few like classics I hear about. I watch it, I'm just like, I don't understand. I don't see why we are getting a sequel. I don't care. Like I've never not cared for a film more in my life than probably this one. And because that, and then like watching the trailer, and like again, I mentioned before, I mentioned Oscar, I'm in the Navy, been on deployments, and I'm just watching it going, officers want to do that? Yeah, that would get you in a lot of trouble. Incident, JP. You can't drink in that uniform because it's not made for that. You're supposed to be in this uniform or that uniform. No, okay. So I'm like just sitting there like nitpicking the fucking trailer. So I'm just like, oh god, I don't want to watch this movie and just like nitpick. Fun fact, by the way, that happened to me when I was watching Godzilla versus Kong. No, Godzilla King of the Monsters. When they go to the Navy admiral and like the underground base where the fuck it was at. And he had his camo uniform on, his end-ups, as we called them. The way he had it rolled up was bugging the shit out of me. So I'm like, you don't roll them like that. It's like, you don't fucking wear it like that.
Yeah, I imagine that's got to be annoying, like knowing proper procedure and just seeing Hollywood not give a flying fuck about it.
Yeah, especially when they hire like military experts to make sure they get it right. I'm like, you're still not doing it right. It's not hard.
I don't know Josh's thoughts on Top Gun. Does he not like that movie either?
He finds it over. From what I understand, he finds it overrated.
Yeah, so that's all four of us. Yeah, we don't care about Top Gun. Yeah, I don't get it. I watched it once and I'm like, this is stupid. Like this is dated as hell. I don't understand. The biggest revelation I got from this trailer is that Miles Teller is playing Goose's son and he blames Maverick for his father's death. But even then, I'm like, I didn't have a lot of emotional investment in that one anyway. So I don't know.
And the way he briefly talks on the trail, I'm like, you could never talk to a fucking captain like that, dude.
He tries to hit him. Like there's a scene where he like lunges at him, and I'm like, oh, that's a court martial. I'm not even in the Navy, and I'm like, I just know you can't do that shit.
No, you'd be good. You'd be fucking taken down because he's there. Like the looks of it, he's going to be a junior officer. He's going to be like a lieutenant or something like that, trying to lunge after a captain. Like your career is fucking shot.
I wonder how much Val Kilmer is going to be in this, if at all.
Yeah, they made it sound like, because I remember they made a big deal. They were like, "Yeah, we cast him," and I was like, "Did you?" Because I only see the fucking photo.
Iceman's in charge of the Navy. I think I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how they're fucking playing that one. There's no way he's in charge of the Navy. That's not happening. I don't know. And I also don't know if like theoretically they'd actually have their fucking call signs on all their damn pictures that they're putting up. But what do I don't know. Officers and pilots are like they're like the jock types of the Navy. So they tend to be taking their stupid fucking call signs so much more serious than I do, because I have one being a controller. And it's just funny because like I don't ever have anyone refer to me by my call sign, nor do I refer to anyone by theirs. But officers like, "Hey Goose, hey Moose, how you?" I'm like, oh my god. I've been in the room when this shit's happening. It's like, God.
Well, I can all but guarantee we're gonna skip this one and probably do some anti-Tom Cruise shit that week. So
yeah. I don't need a movie that I find overrated and to like horrendously probably get a lot of Navy shit wrong.
Yeah. I paid movie ticket prices for Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, but I will not pay for Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Dude, I paid for Old, and I have less regrets over that than attempting to pay for Top Gun Maverick here.
Yeah, I want this to bomb, so people shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise needs a reality check, big time.
What's scary is that so many people love Top Gun that I wonder if this will like be I'm scared it's gonna be a huge hit.
You think it's gonna have like back when Top Gun came out, the like Navy recruitment numbers went up like 300%. Do you think that's gonna happen again?
Yeah. Because the thing is, a lot of idiots. I'm not gonna say idiots. Young teenagers. They watch things like this or like American Sniper, Lone Survivor, right? Conveniently, I just named all films that involve the Navy. And they watch that and go like, "Oh, I want to do that. That's awesome." The thing is, though, to be a Navy pilot, or to, in the case of like American Sniper and Lone Survivor, to be a Navy SEAL, that's incredibly tough training. Like incredibly tough. Not everyone makes it.
I imagine so. I mean, not everybody gets to be Vin Diesel and protect children in that one movie.
Oh, that one movie that might be popping up more on the shows down the line. So I may have put it on the schedule.
Yeah, I think these movies, not all of them, but a lot of them, trivialize what it means to make this kind of commitment. And Top Gun is at the top of that. And I just don't like that. And I imagine you like it much less than I do.
I like it much less because look, on one hand, I get like, okay, like I'll draw one to one I like, a comparison one I like, Lone Survivor, which I really like. There's a difference between like Top Gun that's trying to like do that, but it comes off disingenuous. And again, knowing how Tom Cruise treated actual Navy service members that were on a deployment when they were filming this. So any shots you see of this in the trailer when they're taking off, that's an actual carrier that was out on deployment. Pisses me off where something like Lone Survivor, I can take a little bit of that over glorification in that film because you're trying to make real life people who, they sacrificed their life, to do what they thought was right. At the end of the movie made a point to tell you that this was a massive fuck up for the fucking Navy anyway. Like this, the way that shit went down, it's not supposed to go down that way. So like I can take that. You know what I mean? Like I get to an extent there's gonna be a certain amount of glorifying and cause and you're trying to honor the people that lost their lives on these things. And that's fine. I don't mind that at all. Even Black Hawk Down, which is probably one of the most realistic takes, has its moments, but I get it. But in a case like Top Gun, I don't feel like they're doing it for a good reason.
No, it's propaganda. Top Gun's all, America, volleyball, six-pack, jet. Yeah. It's like, there's nothing serious about Top Gun in the slightest. And
No.
yeah, it's a joke to me.
Yeah, and
this one's just, the punchline.
yeah, and most pilots do not have six packs because they actually don't lift weights a lot. Because they don't want to get new flight suits, and like the space for where they sit in those planes is really tight, so they cannot afford to lose or gain any more weight. So they run a lot, so they're just skinny. So that's another thing about Top Gun. I'm like, they're not like fucking looking like The Rock. They won't be able to fit in the fucking plane. Like, they're usually really skinny dudes because they run all the time.
Well, as a member of the Navy, I'm curious how much shirtless volleyball you partake in.
None.
Because that seems like it's a big part of it.
I don't understand where Top Gun got that from because I don't know anyone, myself included, who has partaked in shirtless volleyball games on the beach.
Yeah, so I don't plan on seeing this. I'm actually looking forward to kind of boycotting it on this show. So yeah, May 27th, we are going to do something else.
Yes, I can't wait to not see the trailer in theaters now that they're doing the ad campaign at the theaters.
I know. Next up, Netflix's Choose or Die debuts on the streaming service on April 15th. Looks like a horror Jumanji, and I'm very intrigued by this. This looks exciting.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this one for a while. I think it was originally called like Cursor or some stupid like that, but they changed the name.
It's good.
And yeah, I'm intrigued by it. Like I said, I think the part that kind of got me going, like, ooh, this could be something like pretty gnarly, was the scene at the diner when she was, hey, clean it up, and whatever's going on has that chick take broken glass and start to chew on it. Oh, and you can just hear it. I love how the screen goes to black and you just hear the sound effects.
Yeah, and
I'm like, oh, so like I'm interested in this. I'm a sucker for like the internet horror stuff.
Yeah.
In general, especially because that's like, that's, where we're at now. The internet has taken a huge part of our lives.
Yeah.
So I'm always a sucker for these types of films that do it. And until we get a newfound destination or something where this kind of thing happens, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. Well, this looks more like a, reality warping kind of like cursed game, like very much like reminded me of Jumanji, but on a much grander scale. And the film that came to mind when I saw the trailer was 13 Sins. Remember that?
I remember that, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
That was a wild movie that should have gotten more attention. But I love these, like, this or that horror movies where you got to make some crazy ass horrific choice. I love those movies.
Yeah, it's literally how Saw thrived for a while.
Yeah. Live
or die, make your choice.
Yeah, like I loved Would You Rather. I thought that was a really cool movie.
That's another one that's been on my radar to watch. I hear a lot of people that like it.
Jeffrey Combs hosting a dinner party of like a who's who of random horror and like ex-porn stars doing like making horrible choices, like drown yourself for 3 minutes or cut off your left hand. Like, what's it gonna be? Like, just crazy shit.
Jesus. God, oh fuck. What was the name of it with David Ketchner and Sarah Paxton? Where they're like the witch couple that make these dudes keep paying these dudes to do outrageous shit.
Here, I'm gonna find out.
I'll say it's on the site. I remember like really liking that one. That was another one that reminded me of. Oh, god damn it.
David Koechner.
Yeah, it was him and Sarah Paxton played his wife.
Vicious Fun?
No, that was that one with the serial killers that I told you about. That was a lot of fun.
Okay.
No, not that.
All right. Do you remember when this was?
Stand by. Look, oh, Cheap Thrills. There we go.
Okay.
Have you seen that one, Cheap Thrills?
I have not.
Oh my god. So it has those two that I mentioned. Also has Ethan Embry.
Okay.
And Pat Healy. And basically Embry and Healy's down is like he's about to lose his house. He has a wife and kid. And he runs into an old buddy of his, Embry, at the bar, and they start talking, and then they run into these two characters, and they at first are saying, "Hey, let's have some fun. I'll give you 500 if you slap the waitress on the ass." Like just simple things like that. But it starts to fucking escalate to things like, "I'll pay you so much if the guy who's married, our main character's married, if you have sex with my wife." Like it gets like just like or like shit in the neighbors, like like it starts to escalate, like losing limbs type stuff. Like it's really fucking good movie.
Shit, yeah, that sounds up my alley. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, and they give it to whoever does it. So that's like that's our catch. Whoever does it gets the money. So you see these two guys start to fight over who does it.
Shit. Oh boy. Yeah, I love the escalation of films like that, where it starts out like, just, call that guy an asshole. And then by the end of it, you're like, it's shoot that guy in the face, like, or, your kids are going to die. It's nuts. And those are good. Good subgenre.
Yeah. Always a fun one to watch.
Yeah. It looks like Choose or Die is going to be one of those. Looks good. So we'll be talking about that April 15th.
Yeah, and it makes me happy because now it's not just fucking Fantastic Beast. I know it's gonna be the main movie, but like,
yeah,
I just am not really looking for. First two did not hook me, so it's like I'm not really all that jazzed for this new one.
I just really hope it doesn't suck. I'll take a mediocre movie. I don't want it to suck.
Like the second one sucked. Like at least the first one I thought was mediocre at best. I was like, first one, it's okay. I can, it's not hurting me. That second one, though, I was just like, what the fuck happened? What is going on?
I don't even remember it that much. I'm going to watch it again to prep for the new one, just so I have those two films fresh in my head. But yeah, I couldn't tell you most of it right now.
Oh.
Whereas I can tell you every detail about all 8 Harry Potter films.
Yeah, because those are good, coherent films.
Yeah, which is weird because it's different directors and different like tones and styles, but it all meshes perfectly. Fantastic Beasts 1 and 2 was the same director, and it's a mess.
Yeah, that's what happens when J.K. Rowling apparently just wants to write it for the money for whatever reason, as opposed to a good movie.
I know. I don't. If anybody like could just shut the fuck up and take the check, it's J.K. Rowling, but she won't for reasons that escape me. Didn't she I think Putin said like something about like I'm like comparing like his fight against Nazis to like J.K. Rowling trying to like he said something about her where she had to be like nope.
Like, wait, even she was like no.
Yeah, like the publicist had to come out and say like nope, like dictator, like psychopath, like idiot author, different situation.
Both wrong, just in much different ways.
Yeah. And when you are getting, when you're being mentioned in a speech by a psycho dictator trying to conquer a country, you really got to reevaluate where like the choices you've made that have led you here. You got to think about that.
Yeah, you do. Oh God, can you imagine? Just real quick, like I want to give a shout out to publicists everywhere that have to deal with people like Rowling or now Will Smith or any other problematic like celebrity that, or like I know a recent one, I guess now it's Sam Elliott. Like they're just sitting there going, why do they have to do this?
I imagine if you work for one of those volatile people that's constantly making waves, looking at your phone in the morning has got to be like, diffusing a bomb. Like, what do I do? Like, please no, not today. And then you look and you're like, fuck. No,
right? You wake up on a Saturday thinking I'm going to just wake up. I want to make a nice cup of coffee and I'm going to sit on my porch and watch some TV and just kind of recollect and enjoy the morning. And you wake up and go, fuck. All right, let's hurry up, make the coffee. I got to go. I got to fucking go because holy shit.
Top headline. Sam Elliott goes crazy on podcast, like homophobic rant. You're like, God damn it.
Yeah, right. Especially in his case, because that was years of probably his publicist not worrying about a thing, being like, Sam's fine, he doesn't say anything stupid. And then when someone goes, why? Why did you do this to me, Sam? Why?
I imagine it's got to be even like tougher for Rowling because her publicist has got to just be like, aged like 10 years in the past 2 years, just got like hair falling out, like insomnia, because you never know when the next fire's going to start.
Right? Him or like Gina Carano's publicist probably sits there just going, motherfucker, stop posting.
I wonder if it starts out like, look, we talked about this. You can't be saying this is going to affect your career. And by the ninth tweet, they're like, Joe, shut the fuck up. Stop it.
He just start talking to them regular, like, I swear to fucking God, I will kill you myself. Okay. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, if you're like a publicist for someone like Keanu Reeves, that must be fucking heavenly. He doesn't do anything to like make waves. He probably buys you coffee in the morning. He probably is like, hey man, you need some coffee? Like, he probably comes to your house, is like, look, I'll make you the coffee. You stay in bed, bud. All right.
He gets you coffee. Completely different situation. He knows your kids' names. He gives you a Christmas present. I don't think J.K. Rowling even knows her publicist's name.
Probably not. And honestly, we make the joke, but I would not be surprised if Keanu Reeves doesn't do that shit for his people. I really wouldn't, based off the stories I've heard about that man.
No, I imagine working for a nice celebrity. It's got to be quite a nice life. You get paid quite a lot. You don't have a very stressful job, and you get to work for Keanu Reeves. You probably get front row tickets to the new Matrix movie, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you like the movie.
Right? Look, and even like if I was like supposed to be like, look, Keanu, bud, I wasn't a big fan of this movie. I'd be like, look, but I'd be scared. I'd be like, oh, guys, you want to hate me? Okay, look, I'd be real, man. I'm not a big fan of the new Matrix. He probably sits there and goes, you're allowed to have your opinion, and I respect that. I'll make sure to be better on the new John Wick. Okay.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing to think about, like how these the publicists of Hollywood and the agents and what they gotta deal with. Some days it's Matrix 4 has been announced, and some days it's JK doubles, triples, quadruples down on her hatred of trans people.
I would love the idea of like there's a building in Hollywood that there's all the agents get to lounge at. Like there's like their break building. Instead of a break room, they have a break building. They're just chilling there and they're just like trading stories. They're celebrities. There's like clear jealousy of the ones with the ones that have the like, kind, nice, like they don't make wave celebrities, and the ones that have to constantly deal with something.
I know that there is absolutely no chance this is true, but I'm just imagining Sam Elliott, Gina Carano, and Will Smith have the same publicist. This guy is this close to suicide. Well, what if? But no way.
Yeah. God, there really are some like our part. Can you imagine like some comedian like Paul Rudd or Seth Rogen? That must be a hoot. Seth Rogen gives you weed if you're a publicist. He does.
Dude, if you're Tom Cruise's publicist, I mean, I imagine you're like the fourth or fifth who has like, because the previous ones disappeared randomly when they said they didn't like Mission Impossible 3.
Well, Scientology probably implanted a publicist for him. I feel like Scientology took care of that.
True, but just because that guy's a Scientologist doesn't mean that Tom Cruise has a like, I'm tired of him, get me a new one. And then, Tim just vanishes one day.
That's true too. I used to think Will Smith was a lucky guy, but as we've learned, he's been working fucking overtime for decades.
Yeah, he's the hardest working publicist, or he or she is the hardest working publicist in Hollywood, because I never heard any of these stories until now.
Yeah. He sat there with the post going, your guys are tweeting bullshit and saying things in podcasts with me. Got my shit on lockdown. Then the Oscars happened. He just went, shit.
Yeah. The skeleton the closet that's been jam-packed full of skeletons exploded. It's all out now. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Choose or Die looks pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know how we got to publicize that, but yes.
Final trailer, A24's Men, starring recent Oscar nominee Jesse Buckley, Rory Kinnear, and it's written and directed by sci-fi master Alex Garland. Comes out May 20th, and I would be super jazzed. But it's an A24 horror film, so I'm going to go ahead and wait.
God, you're really holding it against them this year. Even though, like, so far their stuff looks pretty good.
I have been burned too many times. I'm tired of getting tricked into seeing a drama. Just advertise it as a drama if it's a drama. So no, I will watch it, but I'm not paying for it.
You saw X.
I did, but I didn't know that was an A24. When I saw it at the movies and the logo came up, I went like, oh. And then, Ty West he did a good job. So there are exceptions, but
Yeah,
most of the
is
time
also-
I feel burned by them. So
Yeah, but this is Alex Garland. Like, he's giving us Ex Machina Annihilation.
I didn't like Annihilation.
God, you suck.
I liked Ex Machina.
Ex
I don't know.
Good. I like both, but I think this looks cool though. Like, I actually think I don't think this is gonna be an A24 fool. I think because Alex Garland's kind of like Ty West, and he has a lot of control over his movies. So I think this is gonna be less of an A24 film and more of an Alex Garland movie that they're just happen to be releasing.
Okay.
I think it looks interesting enough. Like, the idea of like whatever the fuck's going on with Rory Kinnear's character.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling May 20th.
You need to be a little bit more positive, sir.
Oh my God. I think
Save the negativity for Morbius.
I think I think their track record backs me up on this. So
Yes, but I also think that it looks like they're trying to not have the same type of film this year that they usually do. Based off what I'm hearing about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which unfortunately haven't made mistakes that won't fucking open anywhere near me.
same.
I'm hearing lots of great things about that, based off X, based off how Men looks, based off on what I'm hearing about Bodies. Like, they're not going down. It looks like they're really abandoning their cliches.
I want to be clear. I got no beef with their sci-fi movies, their dramas, nothing. Only their horror movies, because most of the time it's not a fucking horror movie. It's a drama that has a couple scenes of horror, and the trailers are often misleading, and I don't like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be the case with Men. Just again, I think this is going to be. I think Alex Garland. I have faith with him.
Okay. Well,
that's my big thing. I'm looking at him more than I am A24 with this film.
okay. We'll see. I might see it. Well, I don't know. That's all for trailers. Next, let's talk some casting news. Sharon Stone has joined the cast of DC's Blue Beetle film as the movie's villain, Victoria Cord, who apparently was created for the movie.
Why do they keep doing this shit?
I don't know. There is a huge selection of DC villains to pick. Why make one up?
Well, yeah, they're doing it for Shazam also. I'm like, why do they keep making up villains when they can just literally use the source material that they're trying from to begin with? I don't get it.
Yeah, makes no sense to me at all. But Blue Beetle's picking up steam. First Latino superhero DC's worked with or made a movie about, Blue Beetle. I hope this works out. Next up, Eddie Murphy is in talks to portray Godfather of Funk George Clinton in an upcoming biopic. George Clinton, one of the founding members of Parliament Funkadelic, and this seems like a good bet. Murphy's last biopic, Dolomite Is My Name, was great. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I hope this works out.
Yeah, he's making an interesting. It looks like he's just making a niche for himself by doing biopics. There you go. But yeah, like I said, I really like Dolomite Is My Name, so I'm more than willing to see how this one goes.
And I'm one of the few people who actually liked Coming to America too. So I'm back on the Murphy train.
I haven't seen Coming to America 2, so I can't say if I enjoyed that or not.
I have a feeling you won't like it. Just most people don't. But maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard good things about it. That's why I was like, surprised when you said you liked it. I was like, oh, okay. I haven't heard that from a lot of people.
Next up, Bill Skarsgard is the latest actor to be attached to the remake of The Crow, which has been in perpetual production hell for decades. Rupert Sanders is directing. He's the guy who did Snow White and the Huntsman and the Ghost in the Shell remake. So don't hold your breath.
What's weird is that I was looking into it. It sounds like they're like deep in pre-pro, and they actually have like a date to say like June is when they're planning to shoot. So it sounds like something happened that they kept secret, that they finally have what they need to move forward. Because this is like going through a rotation of people. Like I think at one point Jason Momoa was attached, Luke Evans was attached. I think even Bradley Cooper was attached at one point. Like it was insane the names that were attached to put on the fucking makeup here. And I was like, for me personally, like it's hard for me to get excited because like literally only the first film works. All the sequels suck. Like, so it's hard for me to sit there and get excited when like the only good film in this franchise has been the first one.
Well, and also there's this just dark shadow hanging over The Crow that I'm sure has been hampering production, which isn't fair. It's not like that's going to happen again, God willing.
Yeah, hopefully not. Jesus.
Yeah. I'm just worried this is going to be a PG-13 CGI boring ass movie. That's what I'm worried about, because that's what Snow White is.
I like how when they made the sequel to that, they're like, so people didn't like Snow White, but everyone liked Chris Hemsworth. Oh yeah, we'll just make it the Huntsman. Like
that. Yeah, I haven't seen the Huntsman. I did see Snow White and the Huntsman, and it was so forgettable. I don't remember basically anything.
I watched the Huntsman, but that's because I was like, Charlize Theron, Emily Blunt. All right, I'm in. I was like, there was someone else. I think it was Anne Hathaway. Like someone else. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you just hired all the pretty ladies.
Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain, that's it. I was like, okay, well, I'll watch this. I'll check this out.
Well, I hope The Crow finally takes flight. But I don't know. This is like the 9th or 10th time. So, we'll see.
Yeah, and if it does, hopefully it's good. That's all I got. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard because I mean, Brandon Lee really. I know some people are trying to make the argument that like people only remember him from the movie because of his whole death, and I'm like, no, he was really good in that movie.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah, I'm like, no, he was really good in that movie. He was showing that he was clearly a talent to look out for, and that was taken way too soon.
Yeah, just like his dad. Fucking tragic. But The Crow is so much more than that tragic accident. It's a really compelling action movie, very dark, great villain in Michael Wincott's character. I love Michael Wincott, by the way. He's one of my favorite character actors.
He's so good in that movie. Oh my God.
Oh, the Count of Monte Cristo. He's in that as the sadistic warden of the prison that Jim Caviezel gets sent to.
Holy shit, that makes sense. I can see that.
He's so there's a when he first gets sent there, he starts whipping Jim Caviezel, and Jim Caviezel says like, God will save me, and Michael Wincott says, let's make a bargain. You ask God for help, and I'll stop the minute he shows up.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a dark scene, man. But he is so good. You hate him so much in that movie.
He's good at that. He knows. Like I remember when I first saw The Crow, I was like, God, this guy is really good. I didn't know his name at the time. I just remember going like, "Here's playing the villain's fucking killing it in this movie." Like, fuck.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've always thought he was just a fantastic actor. Criminally underrated, I think.
Yeah.
Next up, Jim Carrey is strongly considering retiring from acting. In his own words, quote, "I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough." It went on to add, quote, when asked if he would, do another project, he said, "It depends if the Angels bring some sort of script that's, written in gold ink that says to me that's going to be really important for people to see. I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break." I think he's earned it. I think Jim Carrey's been working pretty much nonstop since the, early 90s. He's been one of the most iconic comedic actors of all time. He's delivered great work. He's, battled his own demons. And I think it's time for him to, do right by himself. So I'd say go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll miss seeing him on the big screen, but I get it, and I actually do like how even before he said the sorry, when he said like the whole I've done enough, I like what he said before that, which he's like he makes a point. He goes, "You probably have never heard a celebrity say that." I'm like, "No, you're right. I've never heard a celebrity actually say those lines. Usually, it's they work till the day they die, or until they like in some. I'm sure one will mention they can't anymore because of medical reasons.
Yeah.
So for him to just say, "Look, I've done enough. I've had my career. I've lived my life, and I want to take a break. I want to retire.
Yeah.
Go for it, man." I mean, literally when he came out with Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and I think it was The Mask, all in the same year, all three went to #1 at the bottom. Like he is, I think, holding that record still to this day for any actor working. The guy's sort of a comedy legend. I mean, what he's been able to do with like not just like some of the things we always quote from his movies to say, but he's been able to do physically. I mean, he's always had a great cool comedy presence.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he had really shrunk in things like Spotlight and Eternal Sunshine and Spotless Mind, to an extent the Truman Show. I know there's some comedic elements to it, but it's a lot more serious, most of his stuff. But the guy is a fucking legend, and he's always been a favorite of mine. I grew up loving his stuff. He was one of the guys my dad showed me when it came to comedy that we bonded over when I was a kid, because I just thought he was hilarious. And if he wants to call it quits after these Sonic films, which I've always felt like I haven't seen the second one yet, but I always thought the first one was a good return to form for him. And what I'm hearing right now from early reviews on the sequel, he goes even like more to like Jim Carrey as we know him in the sequel, like, and it sounds like he's at least going out with a bang, and I like that.
Well, I like that he's going out on his own terms. He's not, it's not going to be like a box office failure that makes Jim Carrey like, not a bet anymore or saying some toxic shit. He knows his limits. He knows what he wants, and he's done. He, said he's looking forward to just kind of painting and, living in peace, which will be nice for him.
Yeah. So all I gotta say is like, if he commits to it, thank you, Jim Carrey, for the countless films, countless memories. You're a hell of a comedian, and I will sorely miss your presence, but hey, go for it, man.
Yep. Right on. I second all of that. On the other side of this, Bruce Willis is also retiring, but not by his own hand. Willis was recently diagnosed with aphasia, which has been affecting his cognitive abilities for years. According to EW.com, aphasia is a condition caused by damage in a specific part of the brain that controls language expression and comprehension. It often leaves individuals with the inability to communicate effectively with others. And this explains his sort of performance decline over the past decade, which a lot of people, including myself, feel really bad for shitting on him for so long. So I want to say right now, I apologize. I did not, I feel really bad for especially the recent Death Wish episode we did on Beyond the Bad, where we just went after Bruce. We didn't know.
I didn't put him down as worst performer like you did.
Wow.
I picked someone else for worst performance.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
But it does. It explains a lot. And yeah, I mean, I just feel bad about the jokes I've made, his choices in films over the last couple of years. I'm glad. I know he didn't. It was his family announced it, so it's good to know he's being surrounded by love, and that his family is going for however long he unfortunately now has left with this. Because I don't know like how this is going to affect rest of his time moving forward. But I was someone that I got introduced to young to like Die Hard and stuff, and my dad was a big Bruce Willis fan, loved his films. My mom liked some stuff. My aunt was the one that introduced me to like Sixth Sense when I was expressing my like towards Bruce Willis, and she's like, "Oh, you need to watch this movie; it's really good." And the guy was he was a good actor. You know what I mean? He knew what I liked about him a lot, and I noticed it as I've gotten older watching these action films. Unlike like Stallone and like Schwarzenegger's action films, he actually was good at being an action hero that felt like an attainable action hero. Like he was the everyman. He wasn't this big muscle bound dude taking out stuff. He was a New York City cop and fucking a situation he didn't expect to be in, and he knew how to deliver that everyman persona with these roles. And even when he went outside his box, where it'd be something like with his work with Shyamalan with dramas, he was really good. Or something outside his box to do comedies and kind of loosen up a bit. Have fun with his persona. He was really funny. So it will. It sucks to hear that this is he's been diagnosed with this. And again, just like Jim Carrey, thanks for the memories, thanks for the films. You will be very missed.
Yes.
In the world of film. Bruce Willis.
Yeah, his influence on action alone is unbelievable, and his filmography is pretty epic. And it's just a shame that he had to, he was kind of forced out by his own brain like this. It's a damn shame, but the work will live forever, and he, I'm sure his family will be, helping him stay comfortable over the course of this diagnosis.
Yeah.
Well, continuing our kind of bummer section of last week in film, we've got two deaths to talk about this week. Character actor. What?
So this past week in film, man, it was like Will Smith's whole thing, and then quickly followed by like, hey, Bruce Willis has been diagnosed with this. Jim Carrey is announcing he's retiring. I was like, Jesus Christ, like stop it this week.
Yeah, I know. It's been a rough one. Character actor Paul Herman has died at 76 years old from natural causes. Herman has appeared in countless classics in fairly minor roles, including The Color of Money, Once Upon a Time in America, The Last Temptation of Christ, Casino, Heat, and Goodfellas. More recently, he appeared in Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle, Joy, and The Irishman, and he's most well known for his role as Beansy in The Sopranos, aka the guy that Richie Aprile kicked the shit out of in season 2 over a financial dispute, which ended up with Beansy in a wheelchair as a paraplegic. And this was kind of the got the ball rolling on the Richie Aprile story arc in season 2, which was great. It's a good performance. He was a great character actor, and he will be missed.
Yep. R.I.P. to Tom.
Yep. Next, comedian Estelle Harris has died at 93 years old from natural causes. Harris played Estelle Costanza, mother of neurotic goofball George Costanza, on Seinfeld alongside Jerry Stiller, who played his dad. They were like some of the funniest people in that show. Their interactions with George were just the best. They were the craziest parents. I mean, Festivus alone was just perfect.
Did you see his tweet to his TV mom, as he called it?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he did. He tweeted, a thing, and he referred to her as his TV mama. It's like, I'm gonna miss her.
Oh, it's sad. She also voiced Mrs. Potato Head in the Toy Story series and appeared in such films as Stand and Deliver, My Giant, Brother Bear, Home on the Range, and CBGB. And she had a very distinct voice, was very funny, and she will be missed.
Yeah. As soon as I said Mrs. Potato Head, I was like, oh, not Mrs. Potato Head.
Yeah, I know. What a great character in those movies. So now that we've talked about last week's news, let's talk about the films. Last week, we didn't really get to spotlight any movies outside of the Oscars, so we're going to kind of bring in last week's releases here for a bit, talk a little bit about The Lost City, which I got to see. I don't think you got to see this one.
No, I didn't. I'm kind of just, I think it's a Paramount movie, right? Because I'm kind of just waiting for Paramount Plus, honestly, watching the comfort of my home. Not that I have anything against it. I've heard it's actually really funny, but I'm just going to wait.
It was really funny. Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum were great together. Daniel Radcliffe, for me, stole the show as this unhinged billionaire villain. Brad Pitt's whole bit was great. It's a really funny movie. I mean, it's basically a remake of Romancing the Stone, which I didn't really make the connection to until I went home and I'm like, wait a minute. It's like the same damn story. But, fuck it. Originality's been dead for decades.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think it could have been funnier with an R rating, but PG-13 worked. It was fine. But yeah, it had its moments. 8 out of 10 for me. Would recommend. Really, really funny.
Okay. Yeah. If I noticed that Paramount's finally been smart. And what I thought they should have been doing in the first place is they're just delaying everything, and they're putting their shit on their service after so many days in the theater. Because they have like Scream, the new Scream and Jackass Forever's on there now. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just wait till that one. I'll just wait till Paramount Plus, and I'll probably check it out there because I like the cast a lot. Daniel Radcliffe has had a fantastic post Harry Potter career. Tatum's really funny in comedies. I like Sandra Bullock. Plus, I like looking at Sandra Bullock. I was surprised to see that she was 57 years old. I was like, there is no way she is 57. I was like, all right. And then I know that Brad Pitt is going to be a cameo segment of the film, but it looks like he's committing fully to that part. So, it looks like something I'll have a good time with.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, back to Shudder, Night's End. What was this about?
So this one was from directed by Jennifer Reeder, lady who did the Hell Ratma segment of VHS 94.
Oh.
Yeah. It's about this guy who's a shut-in, and he is doing vlogging really on a YouTube channel in his apartment, and weird shit starts to kind of happen. Paranormal shit happens. So you have things like happening in the background and stuff like that while he's filming, which is kind of freaky in its own way, as we saw in Host. It was pretty good. Like I was enjoying it, but not being like blown away or anything by it as I was watching it. Because it's not the most fastly paced film. It's like paced like any other paranormal film. But what made me go like, holy shit, okay, in a good way, was the end and how they end this film, which ends in a way that I wasn't seeing that. That's not where I thought this film was going. I was like, oh, okay. The film ends like the most WTF, like go for broke, bonkers ending I think I've witnessed this year in a fucking film, which made me hike my scroll because I was like, well, I give you credit, film, you ballsy kid, goddamn ballsy. So I enjoyed it for the most part. If you're looking for something that starts out regular paranormal and goes places at the end, can't go wrong with that. It's fairly paced. Actors are good. Michael Shannon's in it, which I wasn't expecting. And I saw Michael Shannon, I was like, holy shit, Michael Shannon's in this movie. So overall, I liked it.
Nice. That's good. I'm glad you got a winner from Shudder. Yeah. And Michael Shannon's one of those guys I'll watch anything he's in. He's an awesome character actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's good in this one.
Staying on the Shudder train, The Spine of Night. The one that you insisted I watch, and I'm glad you did. This was one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, but also very reminiscent of like 70s, drug-fueled fantasy epics. I love that it was a 7-year labor of love to make this movie. You could tell. And also, I just watched Wizards on for Filmgazm a couple months ago. I'm glad because there was a vibe there. And I just you can't be bored by this thing. This thing is crazy. So yeah, why don't you tell us your thoughts on this one?
I love this movie so much. I had been hearing about it for a long time. Shudder, I had heard Shudder picked it up. It was getting rave reviews. People were talking about so good about it. And I saw this finally come out. I was like, oh my God, finally. And I was glued in from minute 1 to the time the credits rolled. I like how, yes, it does the heavy metal story structure of various tells, but if you pay attention, the tells actually flow together. You're seeing the same storyline, but a lot of times years later. The film actually plays over a whole century or something like that. And
I thought it was really cool. Just the idea, it was constantly unpredictable. like when our swamp witch character is, you know, captured by this gluttonous king played by Patton Oswalt, which I thought was funny. And then the scholar like helps her escape. The last thing I was expecting was for the scholar to be the fucking bad guy.
Yeah, and then kill her, and then she's like literally out of commission for like entirety of the movie. And I feel like it takes place again over centuries. It's very like it's like talked about now, like long this goes on. So then you're wondering, well, wait, how's she at the mountain then telling all these stories? What the fuck is going on?
What? Yeah, I love Richard E. Grant's Guardian is like, you just confessed your own death. Like, what more can you say? Like, where's this going? And she's like, oh, we'll get there.
Oh yeah, it's a whole lot.
I remember I told myself, like, if I don't get an explanation on why she's here, I'm going to be pissed. But then it was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Like, yeah, that she's been chosen. Like, and I love I love when the bad guy's like, I've forgotten so many faces over the centuries, but never yours. Like, that was some cold shit. Like, I got goosebumps when he said that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, oh, I haven't forgotten you. I'm coming for you. I also like I'm a sucker for like animation that just embraces violence and like nudity.
Yeah.
Like this one does. Like, there's never not a second someone's naked. It is bloody and violent on the sword fights. I love it. And yeah, I love how even some like the quick throwaway stories add to the overall thing. Like the one where the guy takes over the town and only 2 people are left, and you know it ends with them being killed, but it's like it ends up becoming this really sweet moment of these people are just living, you know, the last days of their life together before they're murdered senselessly, and it's slightly poignant, you know.
My favorite bit was the Guardian's Tale of the Bloom and like where it came from. That was so cool. I loved how they switched animation styles, made it way darker silhouettes, and told this really cool story about how the sons of gods conquered Earth and like mankind was their like pets who they betrayed and they just revolted. It was like, this is crazy. Like, this is so neat and creative. Yeah, this was weird and I liked it. Definitely unique. I'd never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, it's very, you know, like I said, they call it rotoscoped animation, which is what Bosky and them were doing back in the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, it takes a while to animate this type of stuff. You know, it takes a while. Even with a big crew, it takes a while. But it looks amazing. Like, to me, this film looks stunning in its own way.
Yeah.
And the ending, goddamn, like, what a way to end your fucking movie.
Yeah, when they just rip him in half and she rips his heart out and is like, you are nothing. Jesus Christ. Just, I love this idea that like in the grand scheme of life, we're all meaningless. Like, we're all servants of something, of some force. Like, just, it was a very like, you know, it got in my head.
Yeah. I like how he's still trying to talk as he's like ripped in half.
Oh, yeah, just I love that he was not the guy I was expecting to be the bad guy, and he just goes full evil, you know, like in 2 seconds. There was no hesitation. He was just like, I'm stealing that and I'm conquering all of existence.
Yeah. And then God, his like weird design when he like is in that dungeon and he transforms finally, like the eye comes out of his stomach, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I would love, like, these are the kind of movies that I wish the Academy would pay more attention to when it comes to best animated film and not just sucking Disney's dick every year. I want to see more stuff like this get recognized because this deserves way more attention than I think it's going to get.
Yeah, well, and that's always right. That's why I say like they need to actually start looking at the whole year instead of like specific months.
Yeah,
because this is probably like, and this is no knock on like Disney, and I like a lot of their animated films. But I mean, they do follow a formula for each and every single film they do. Whereas this was actually taking chances, and I mean, 7 years to get this animation right, and the inventive storytelling. Like, yeah, this is stuff I wish they would look at more because this is an inventive fucking animated film.
Well, there's also this weird stigma around like animated movies for adults. Like nobody pays attention to that. They're not like, they don't get the time of day. It's weird. I don't really know where that comes from.
I don't get it. It's like we deep down want to watch for some reason things like Fritz the Cat and animated adult sex and violence. But then like if you mention it out loud, everyone's like, no, what are we talking about? I don't want to watch that. It's like you can fucking admit you like it. Jesus Christ.
You can love The Lion King and you can love The Spine of Night. Nobody's saying you can't.
Yeah, I do love both, actually.
Yeah, so do I. So yeah, this is on Shudder. It's a wild watch and comes highly recommended.
Yeah, check this one out. It's easily an 8. It could honestly jump up to a 9 for me. This is a really good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, Morbius. The highlight of the day or night, depending on when you're listening to this.
Highlight is really pushing it, but yes.
This was supposed to come out in July 2020 and got pushed to hell by the COVID and then by reshoots and God knows what. And what we got was not worth the wait in the slightest.
Not one bit.
Yeah. Brief bit on the history of Morbius in film. He was supposed to be the bad guy for Blade 2, even in the alternate ending of Blade. Blade ends up, meeting Morbius, but Sony put the kibosh on that when they decided, even back in 2002, they wanted to make a Morbius movie, and they've been holding on to that for 20 years.
Yep. What's funny is that scene, he doesn't really meet Morbius. Like, I remember reading up on it. Like, he sees, or they show Morbius, a figure standing on a building watching Blade. But it's like you see just enough to know that, oh shit, it's Morbius, if you know your comic book stuff. I read it was actually the director. Like, that was the director in that part doing it because they didn't hire anyone. Because they're like, well, we don't want to pay money just to hire someone to fucking stand there. I'll do it. So he did it.
That's cool.
And then they put the kibosh, and then they were trying to do it for Blade the series. They were like, oh, we can do it again for season 2, but then like in a show that I think, if I remember correctly, it got good like ratings, but they just canceled it. Oh, I think it's because that was when Spike was like, we don't want to do scripted television anymore. We want to go, you know what I mean? When they do that shit, they're like, oh, we don't want to do this type of TV anymore. So they put, they canceled it, so we never got whatever the fuck they were going to do with it in that show.
So yeah, before this movie, all we got was the Spider-Man the animated series on, I think it was Warner Brothers, WB, maybe. I don't remember what channel it was on.
Back when they had their like animation block in the morning on Saturdays. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, WB animation. I forget what they call it, but yeah, WB.
And this was one of those shows that was like, they're not allowed to say kill, they're not allowed to have guns. So making a character that was a vampire was tricky. So they made Morbius an energy vampire. His fangs were like these dots on his hands, and he would grab people and suck out their like energy, but they'd be okay. It was so stupid. And yeah,
that's why adult animation can sometimes be better. Like if you want to see superheroes fuck shit up in animated form, just go watch Invincible on Prime.
Yep. So that was all we got with Morbius, and then this movie came out, and it made its money back pretty quick. So there's like, if it continues, we might actually get a franchise out of this, and hopefully they do better next time. But what this is pretty by the numbers and bland. Apart from, I think Jared Leto's performance is decent, and I think Matt Smith pretty much saves what he can.
I'll give you Matt Smith. I actually found kind of Leto pretty bland. Like compared to like past performances that he's given us, I was like, you are fucking bland as shit in this dude. He always sounded tired. Like even when he was like Morbius, like when he finally got the powers right, he still sounded like he was always tired. I'm like, are you okay? Like at first I get it because you have your disease, but now you're like rejuvenated. Like I need you to be more alive, dude.
I guess. This film's currently sitting at a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's getting pretty eviscerated by critics. Nobody seems to really understand why Michael Keaton pops up at the end.
We'll get to that, but yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
So might as well just go through this thing and try to find what we can to talk about. Director Daniel Espinosa some of his past work includes Life. Remember that movie?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I liked the ending to it. That was a fucking dark ass ending.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people thought that was a prequel to Venom, that thing was Venom, but it's not, because that would not make sense.
It wouldn't, and that thing was doing far scarier damage to people than Venom did. Like, holy shit. I don't know if anyone ever saw that parting shot there in the movie, but I was like, fuck me.
Yeah, Life was cool. I liked that movie a lot. And then Safe House, which I never saw. That was Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington, some CIA espionage.
Yeah, I remember liking it. I remember liking it when I saw it, because I have seen that one. I remember liking it.
And then Child 44, which I liked. A lot of people hated it. I thought it had an amazing cast. It was Tom Hardy, Gary Oldman, other people I'm sure I liked. It's been a long time. And it was about the Russian secret police during the Stalin era, and a murder happens, and the state says, wrap it up. And Tom Hardy starts seeing some discrepancies, and he's warned, like, stop investigating this, or, your family's going in the gulag. And he's like, he has to decide, like, do I solve this murder, or do I shut up and obey the state? It wasn't bad. But, I'm just saying, Espinosa doesn't really have a track record of box office success.
Not really.
No.
Based off everything you just said.
Yeah. So we open with
well, I'll say yeah, no, go on. I'll get to like probably my biggest gripes with like why this film just really sucks for me.
Okay, fair enough. We open with Michael in Costa Rica. He's got a degenerative blood disease that never really gets a name, which I think is weird. They don't really tell us what he's got. He's just sick.
All right. That's my biggest thing with this film. There's so much shit that they just don't talk about. And then like they just jump from scene to scene without any fucking like thing to tell us why we're here. You know what I mean? There's like nothing leading to the next scene. And so they're just like, all right, now that's done. And now we're here. We'll get into when we talk about like the orphanage bit after this part. But like him and Matt Smith's relationship was supposed to be like the crux of this movie, where I think both actors are trying. Matt Smith a little bit more. It's not done well. It's like at one point they have a line where he's like, oh, you're just now talking to me or some shit like that. So I'm like, wait, have you guys not been talking all these years? Like, was he supposed to come back and get you? And I'm like, but then again, we never see that part happen in the movie where he came back and got him. We don't know why he's also in fucking New York after being in Italy. We get why Morbius, you can infer, right? And they talk about, but like, why Lucian or Milo? Because they can't seem to decide if his name's actually Lucian or Milo in the fucking movie.
Yeah, that was odd. I thought, like, why hold on to this? Like, your name's Lucian. This kid you just met starts calling you Milo because he doesn't bother to learn his roommates' names because they keep dying, so he just calls them all Milo, which is some morbid shit. And you just go with it. You're Milo now, even well into your 40s.
Yeah, it's like, all right. And then that was like, they are so unclear on what the fuck he does for a living. One, to have his wealth. Two, why he would turn on such a dime into a villain in this movie. Because like I'm like, there is no building up of this character for me to understand why he would turn into such a bad guy. Like, you barely talk about what the fuck he even does for a living anyway.
I disagree with the buildup, because we did get that brief scene where he got bullied as a kid and like attacked the kid with the crutches. So he has an anger in him about society kind of spitting on him. And now that he's strong, he wants to fight back.
That is one scene.
Yeah, but
before that, we don't know what. There was like nothing else in the movie that really helps further hammer that home. It's always just like, yeah, they're friends. He works. He has a lot of money. I'm like, okay.
It is weird that like they grew up in a boys' home and now he's super wealthy. He's clearly been funding Michael's experiments. Like he mentions that, like, when have I ever denied you that,
And so it's like, again, like, what did you do for that wealth? Like, sometimes it's implied he got it the good way. Sometimes it's like implied he might have been have some shady shit going on. But I'm like, the film never wants to bother with character development or committing to it in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Or even giving us like actual scenes that make sense when they flow together. It's just like, and this, and then this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like,
All right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I just have such a soft spot for Matt Smith. Like, I like him.
Yeah, but he doesn't always do good movies. I like Matt Smith in this movie because I think he is trying very hard.
He does keep getting like the shit parts of various franchises, like Terminator Genesis and now Morbius.
Yeah. I like Matt Smith too, but I'm also willing to call a movie a turd if it's a turd.
I'm not saying this is a masterpiece. I'm just saying I liked him in it. And
so did I. He was one of the few positives for me.
Yeah. Let's just we don't have to go in order. Fuck it. Why is Jared Harris here if you're not going to use him?
Yeah. I was like, and it's such a, and again, why was there only one flashback scene? I want to say why. Because like they have the one scene where it's okay, so Jared Harris took care of him for the rest of his life, essentially, after getting Morbius over to college. I was like, but again, so what? Now he's just like a caretaker? Like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, wasn't he running that shit in Italy? So why? I'm like, what the fuck? Why? This is what I'm talking about. Give me some fucking even lines of dialogue that explain why the fuck he's in New York with Matt Smith's character.
It is also weird that, Michael, you fixed a machine with a spring. So I'm going to go ahead and convince somebody to give you a full ride to medical school. Like, what? Where did this come from? That's a leap.
Yeah. This movie just speaks of like shit from like the 90s and early 2000s and like the bad comic book films we got back then.
Yeah.
But we got it in 2022 when the bar has been significantly raised for comic book films.
Yeah. I always thought Morbius's origin story was always kind of goofy. Scientist injects himself with bat DNA, becomes a vampire. I was hoping the movie would explain that a little better. It didn't.
No, or at the very least, if it's goofy, embrace that. I think another thing that kills this film is how fucking serious it is.
Yeah.
Because
like bats can't teleport or whatever that was. Like at least like in Batman comics, when Man Bat showed up with the same exact origin story, he made a little bit more sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it's almost like they drop and they really play fast and loose. I feel like with Morbius's powers in this movie, I'm like, I don't remember some of the stuff from the comics. I feel like you're adding shit.
Could he fly or could he just jump? Like, because he can fly in front of the train, but then like when he's just jumping from building to building later on, like why aren't you just flying?
Yeah, it's like, wait, what? It made no sense. Also, like I didn't hate the design ultimately of Morbius. I wasn't that enamored with it. I didn't walk away impressed. I was like, okay.
You know what he looked exactly like? Bagul in Sinister.
Yeah. I remember kind of just walking away going, it's the best you could do. You guys gonna try a little bit harder in Lear Vampire.
This movie needed an R rating bad.
Yeah, it needed and more. I can't believe I'm saying it because I know so many people get pissy with the MCU about their quips, but it needed more humor. It needed something like what Tom Hardy brought to Venom to get you like really invested in the concept that they were trying to sell.
Yeah. I mean, you got that weird scene where Morbius like takes those guys' layers, the counterfeiters, because they seem to have all the medical technology he needs, I guess. And he tells that guy like, "I am Venom," and then like lashes at him. Like, is Venom a well-known like national news character? Like, how do you know who Venom is?
I don't think so because they literally just had that one quick line of dialogue with Tyrese going, oh yeah, this reeks of the stuff like that would happen in San Francisco. I'm like, oh, there's your Venom reference.
Yeah, but like I feel like the events of Venom weren't as widely publicized as Morbius seems to think they were.
No, I don't think they were at all.
No.
The film tries humor at times, but again, because everyone's so fucking serious, it does not work. I didn't find a single joke they attempted to be even remotely funny.
One thing I did I liked the Easter eggs on the Daily Bugle newspapers. Like Black Cat, Friend or Foe, and Chameleon's Great Escape. So like establishing that there are like these characters exist in this universe. Like, I wonder if
Yeah.
we'll ever actually get a Spider-Man for this universe, or if these guys are just going to do their thing forever.
I feel like they're just gonna do their thing forever. Apparently, I wonder if Disney watched this and went, "Yeah, we're never giving you Spider-Man."
I feel like
Ever.
this is Sony is so fucking they're never letting go of their Sinister Six movie. They want that so bad.
They want it so bad, even if at this point it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's so like they don't care. I mean, all right, so as it stands, the theoretical Sinister Six we would get is Vulture, I'm assuming, leading the team. Morbius for some reason, because is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Who the fuck knows? Venom, I guess, maybe. Kraven the Hunter, Chameleon, and I don't know, Black Cat or Carnage if he's still alive. I don't know. Maybe they're all going to fight Venom.
I don't know. It's weird because this thing, right? They want to do these villain origin stories, but by doing that, it's almost like they're going all the way to make them good guys. So it's like, what Sinister Six are you even building? Because you're turning all your villains to anti-heroes.
Yeah.
And like you said, they try to do that with Morbius, but it's like they can't even commit to that in the movie. Like at no point in this movie truly commit to, is he good? Is he bad? We don't know. Oh, it's like,
well,
what?
They try to, work around it with the whole artificial blood thing, which is such a huge breakthrough that is widely just kind of set aside. And I guess, it works, but it doesn't work. And you need the red blood to really be a proper vampire. I don't know.
Doesn't make any fucking sense. It's caught for they disappear like halfway through the film. They disappear. They never come back. They're never talked about again in the fucking movie.
Well, apparently in one of the trailers, Tyrese had like a robot arm that never happened.
Yeah, and it looked like in the final film they had something there because I kept seeing it in shots, but they never bothered to like talk about it. I was like, what?
It's yeah. And the ending is so horrible. It's so abrupt, so out of nowhere.
That is one of the worst fucking endings I think I've ever sat through in a superhero film in my life.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, the scene where Morbius takes control of the bats is pretty cool.
That part was cool. I'll give him credit on that.
Yeah. And then he just kills Lucian. And Lucian's just like, I'm sorry. And then he dies. Like, there was zero buildup to any kind of remorse. I mean, he was so willing to destroy Michael's life. He killed his mentor. He killed his girl. Like, where did this come from? Just because he didn't want you to turn into a vampire?
Yeah. And by the way, his goal that, like, again, they do the worst job developing that relationship. Like, it is a terrible. I was like, I don't feel anything between you two at all.
Does every superhero movie have to have that? What?
No. I think as we've seen in Venom, where they broke them up and they're determined not to get them back together, you don't need it. Like,
yeah, I don't. If it's gonna be in the movie, at least try.
Yeah, this one does not try on it. And also, like, is it me or did it felt like they should have done some better audio when Morbius would growl and stuff, because he sounded pathetic anytime he would morph out and growl. Like, he did not. I felt no fear or anything when Morbius became like a vampire. I was like, that's the best sounds you guys could do. You didn't want to like beef it up in the editing, make it put a little more oomph in those growls and stuff.
I guess not. I thought Matt Smith's vampire looked like kind of half-assed. Like,
I thought in a way they both kind of looked. I just thought the designs were so bad on both. I was like, these are not good designs.
Yeah, I don't know. There was like this sense of non-committal to the movie. Like, they don't want to go all the way, so they don't even try to meet us halfway. It's like, what did you want to make here? It feels like a retain the rights kind of movie.
Yeah, it's like, did you guys really actually try, or like, were you just trying to get this the fuck out? Like, what happened here? Because as far as I'm concerned, in 2022, this is the type of superhero film you're delivering. This,
yeah, the standards have risen substantially. And then in our post-credit scene, the sky opens up No Way Home style, and Adrian Toomes finds himself in this universe, which is weird because the spell brought people from other dimensions that knew about Spider-Man's identity into the MCU dimension. So what the fuck happened here?
Right. And then the spell to fix it put them all back. So it makes zero fucking sense why he's in this dimension.
Yeah. And that he would just be like, like, where did he get a vulture suit? I mean, that didn't come with him.
Yeah. It's like, where did he get this? I think it's a Spider-Man problem, and we should make a team. And not Venom, Morbius just immediately, I'm listening, and I'm like, so are you a bad guy? Like, what? I
Two questions Morbius should have had. Who the hell is Spider-Man? And team for what? Because Morbius ain't exactly Robin Banks. Like, what is Vulture? Like, there's no connection there. It's so weird.
It is like, I stand by that. That is the worst mid-credit scene, post whatever tease, whatever you want to call it, that I think I've seen since Marvel's been doing this, since Iron Man 1 back to 2008. This is by far the worst I've sat through.
Well, also now this implies no more Vulture in the MCU, which means we're never going to get to see like, Michael Keaton break out, go after Spider-Man, or like stop Scorpion from going after Spider-Man, which implied he was possibly going to do.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, fuck you. I'd rather him be in the fucking MCU Spider-Man films.
Yeah, they could have just made him a variant. They didn't have to do any of this shit and just complicate things further. Or just, maybe have it be Kraven the Hunter. Like, since you got that coming out next year. Like,
set up your next fucking movie, maybe. Like, you should, why not film something with fucking the guy playing Kraven? I forget his name right now.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, yeah.
There you go, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Why not just film something with him to tease us Kraven? Like, that would have made more sense.
Maybe the world's greatest hunter heard there's a vampire in Manhattan and wanted to go check it out. That makes sense.
Yeah. That would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen a mid-credit scene that just made everything more confusing that like this one did. Like,
yeah.
Especially after you had trailers that put all this Spider-Man imagery into the movie and then took it all out in the actual film just to turn around and do this. And all because Sony, like you said, will not let go of the idea of a Sinister Six movie. Like, they won't just let it go. So they're like, at this point, we don't care if it makes sense. We're getting our goddamn Sinister Six movie.
And also, No Way Home did it. We got a Sinister Six movie, and it was really good. So, like, there's no reason for this unfulfilled fantasy. Like, we got the movie. You made $1 billion off it. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Oh. It's almost like Amy Pascal is just like, I wonder like how much Kevin Feige gets annoyed by her. And he's just not saying it. Like, he saw this one, just went, oh, I'm going to fucking kill her when I get back to the office.
I don't know how much pull he's got over Sony's, Spider-Man-esque movies. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know exactly how much until Disney is fed up with this shit and just gets Sony.
What if this is the movie that breaks them? Disney's like, we're buying you. We're dead.
I don't know. I welcome it. I don't, as long as the content's good, I don't care who owns what. But clearly it's not good right now. So, it's time for a change in departments.
It really is. Because, even technically, we've defended Venom, and I know Venom 2 did even better. But technically, if you look at critically, like both those films got hit hard by the critics. So it's not like, if you look on that level, there's been nothing that Sony's done that's been like liked the way the MCU films have, other than their fucking animated Spider-Man film that was really good. That was like the only thing. That's it.
Yeah. But I blame that. I give more credit to the filmmakers personally than I do any producer on Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. I think that was the case with the filmmakers. They were able to get their way and pull it off.
Yeah. So I'm going to give Morbius a 6, and I think that's being generous, but you know what? I would watch it again. I I didn't think it was the worst Marvel movie of all time. That still goes to either Dark Phoenix or Josh Trank's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but I would put this in like I would group this with those movies. This was bad.
Fair enough.
You're nice on me. I'm going to give it like a You're being a lot more generous than I am. This is I'm giving it a 4.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. It's 2022. Like we have better fucking superhero films coming out. Like, come on, step your fucking game up, Sony. What the fuck?
Yep, can't argue with that. It's a mess. Don't bother seeing this in the theaters. It's kind of a waste of money. And where's Sony dropping their films streaming wise? Have they been doing that?
I think they have some stupid deal with Stars for some weird reason.
Of course.
Sony, look, man, they're doing great with the PlayStation, but dear God, their movie sector sometimes I'm like, what do you guys do over there?
You know what it feels like? It feels like you've got, like 3 months to write a very important paper, and then you wait till like the day before and you just crank out something. And Sony has been doing that constantly. They're not learning their lesson.
No. And then they delay their paper and they're like, well, let's make some edits here. And they delay it some more, like, oh, we gotta make more edits. They delay it some more. They start putting trailers out. They're like, hey, just put in scenes that we didn't cut yet, but we're going to, but put in the trailers so we get people.
That was so shitty to do that.
Just everything about this movie, man. It was like Eternals all over again, where I was like fighting sleep. So I'm like, oh my God, fuck this movie. Except it wasn't 2.5 hours, thank God. It was like 1 hour 40 and just fucking ends. I remember like when it ended, I just remember sitting there going, on one hand, I'm happy because it's finally over. But on the other hand, I'm just like, really? We're ending here. At this point in the film. This is when we're calling cut.
Yeah. Like I said, my expectations were low, so I guess that helped me not be super angry about it. But
my expectations were low also, and I still walked out angry.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to stand by my 6 is not a, that's a D. It's not like I'm giving this a 9.
This movie deserves an F. It's not deserve a D.
Well, whatever. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, you know where to do. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. You can send us an email, filmgazm@gmail.com. So, throw us some recommendations, some feedback, whatever. And you can do the same at the website, filmgazm.com. And if you want to support us, click on support this podcast. We appreciate it. Next week, Michael Bay's new crime thriller, Ambulance, and the fan service video game adaptation sequel, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which may just be Jim Carrey's last movie. So tune in next week to hear our thoughts on these 2 films and possibly others. I'll be sure to watch Sonic the Hedgehog before I go see part 2. And Ambulance, it's Michael Bay, so manage your expectations.
I would say manage, but his films make way too much money at the box office. So I guess don't manage your expectations.
I guess, yeah, it doesn't matter. He's just, that telephoto is going to swoop with or without him. So don't miss. Don't miss Lawless on Wednesday's Filmgazm, The Island on Fridays Beyond the Bad, and Hoop Dreams on Oscar Sunday. Have a great week. Keep watching movies.